Who says we're too old for a new adventure? Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back. Some of you may have noticed that I've recently started a second YouTube channel. Today, I'd like to tell you why. But perhaps more importantly, I'd like to invite you to come with me. Before anyone starts worrying, let me reassure you straight away. Nothing is changing here. UK Money Wisdom will always be about helping ordinary people like you and me understand pensions, tax, savings, benefits, and all those financial rules that can sometimes seem confusing, if not overwhelming. That's why this channel was created, and that's exactly what it will continue to do. Every week I'll still be here trying to explain complicated subjects in plain English, helping you avoid costly mistakes if I can, and hopefully making life just a little bit easier. That promise isn't changing, but over the past couple of years, something happened that I never expected. When I started this channel, I imagined we'd mostly be talking about money. Instead, something much bigger quietly began to grow. Many of you started sharing your own lives with me. You told me about losing husbands and wives, about learning to live alone, about caring for aging parents, and about grandchildren who make you laugh, about children who worry you, about illnesses you've faced, about retirement turning out to be very different from what you imagined, about friendships that quietly faded away, while others became stronger than ever. And sometimes you shared memories that had stayed with you for 50 or 60 years, tiny moments that somehow never left you. Some still made you laugh, others still brought tears to your eyes. I found myself reading those comments long after I'd finished working for the day. Sometimes I'd simply sit quietly and think, that could have happened to any one of us. Gradually, I realised something. The conversations we were having weren't really about money at all. They were about life. Money affects almost every part of our lives, but it isn't our whole story, not even close. Now, I could simply have mixed those conversations into UK Money Wisdom, but I don't think that would have been fair. If you've come here because you're trying to understand your state pension, your tax code, or your savings, you shouldn't have to search through videos about friendship, memories, or growing older. This channel deserves to remain exactly what it was intended to be. Clear, practical, reliable, financial guidance. But those other conversations deserve a home as well, because they matter very much. If you'd asked me a year ago whether I'd ever start talking about life instead of pensions and tax, I'd probably have laughed. After all, I spent much of my working life dealing with figures, regulations, and public finance. I like facts. I like accuracy. I like knowing where I stand. Yet life has a curious way of taking us somewhere we never expected to go, as it did in my life. That's exactly what happened. And regarding these videos, it wasn't really me who changed direction. It was you. You encouraged me without ever knowing you were doing it. Every thoughtful comment, every story, every memory, every message that began with the words, "I've never told anyone this before," made me realise there was another conversation waiting to happen. And I didn't want to lose it, because something very special has happened here. We've become more than people watching videos. We've become a community, and communities grow. They don't stand still. One of the greatest surprises of this YouTube journey has been discovering just how much wisdom is sitting quietly in the comments section. I've learned things from many of you. I've watched complete strangers comfort someone after losing a husband or wife. I've seen people encourage others who are frightened about illness. I've seen kindness offered with no expectation of anything in return. No arguments, no shouting, just ordinary people helping other ordinary people. Sometimes I read a comment and think, that person has just helped hundreds of people without even realising it. That, to me, is extraordinary. And isn't that rather wonderful too? It reminded me of something I've believed for a very long time. Every single person has a story worth listening to. Not because they're famous, not because they're wealthy, no, but because they've lived, they've loved, they've made mistakes, they've overcome disappointments, they've laughed until they cried, they've cried until they've laughed again. That's real life. And somewhere along the way, I realised I wanted to explore those conversations too. To me, that's an adventure waiting to happen. And I'm always up for an adventure. So that's why I started a second channel. It's called I'm Angie. It's simply me talking about life with you, growing older, friendship, family, human nature. A subject none of us ever finishes learning about. Kindness, loneliness, curiosity, the funny moments, the unexpected moments that somehow stay with us forever. And it could be about anything, really, couldn't it? About how we enjoyed ourselves in a particular country and why, and what we noticed about the people living there, lessons we've learned in foreign places. So who says adventures belong only to young people? I certainly don't. In many ways, retirement gives us something we haven't had for decades. Time. Time to notice. Time to think. Time to remember. And time to ask questions. Time to understand ourselves a little better. Perhaps even time to become the people we've never had time to be before. I've reached 76 years of age. I don't feel it, however. And I've realised something. I still don't have all the answers. I'm glad I don't. That would kill the adventure, wouldn't it? In fact, the older I become, the more fascinating the questions seem. Why do some friendships last a lifetime, while others quietly disappear? Why do certain conversations stay with us forever? Why do some people feel lonely in a crowded room, while others feel perfectly content sitting quietly on their own? What makes us afraid? What makes us happy? What makes us like somebody? What makes us wary of somebody? Why can one small act of kindness stay with us for 50 years? These aren't questions with simple answers, but perhaps that's the point. Perhaps life isn't about finally having everything worked out. Perhaps it's about never losing our curiosity. That's the adventure. I honestly don't know where this new journey will lead. Is the truth? Perhaps we'll talk about childhood sometimes. Perhaps we'll talk about growing older too sometimes. Perhaps we'll explore why we become the people we become. We'll almost certainly laugh, I can promise you that. Sometimes we may become emotional for a while, why not? And we may even occasionally disagree, or disagree a lot, who knows? And every now and then, one of us might say something that changes the way another person sees the world. I rather hope so, because none of us ever stops learning, no matter how many birthdays we've celebrated. And that's what excites me, not knowing exactly where this adventure will take us. So please don't worry. UK Money Wisdom isn't going anywhere. I'll still be here every week making financial information as clear, accurate and practical as I possibly can, led by your questions and needs and what's happening in the world financially that you should know about. That promise remains exactly the same. But if you'd like to know me a little better, if you'd enjoy exploring some of life's bigger questions, if you'd simply like somewhere we can sit down with a coffee together and have a conversation, and if you'd like to come with me on this brand new adventure, I'd be absolutely delighted to welcome you to I'm Angie. I'll put a link in the description below, because many of us spend years preparing financially for retirement. Isn't that the truth? We save, we plan, we budget, we think carefully about pensions, tax, and investments. But retirement isn't simply the end of a career. It's the beginning of a completely different chapter. A chapter where we still have things to discover, people to meet, ideas to explore, stories to tell, and adventures waiting for us that we never imagined. I don't think when we're saving for retirement, we think about those things. That's why I've started I'm Angie, because life doesn't stop being an adventure simply because we've grown older. If anything, I think it's only just the beginning. Don't you? I mean, you've heard it before. It's a new chapter, but it is, isn't it? And I'd love you to come with me. Thank you, as always, for your kindness, your encouragement, your wonderful comments, and for making this such a remarkable community. We have 25,000 subscribers on here. Please subscribe, because I'm fast making the next financial video as soon as I leave this video today. And do follow the link in the description below to join me on this new adventure. I'm Angie. Have a good day and keep well.